We've snuck over to Cannes, or a little bit further down the road at Préjus, to test the Prestige 750. A week before its mass reveal to the press, when the world's press will be on there with their tape measures wielded, we're here early because we want to spend as much time on board as possible, because this is a very important boat. It's the largest boat that Prestige, or Jeanneau, has ever built, and they've always been very good at maximising the amount of space on board, even on hulls much smaller than this, so God knows what they've got in store for us on the 75-footer. Let's get on board and check it out. We're going to skip to what is easily the best part of this boat, the part of this boat that sets it apart from its immediate competition, and that is the fact that this cabin I'm sitting in right now is actually on the main deck, forward on the main deck, raised up away from the water. Look at this headroom, the amount of light glazing in the top, row of windows here, the opposite side, and of course you also have a walk-in wardrobe here and a lovely ensuite. I mean, this is the stuff usually reserved for Abramovich and his mates, and of course that also means that the midship cabin downstairs is reserved for your very lucky VIP guests. Let's go and have a look. The upshot of that fantastic cabin up on the main deck for the owner is that the guests get this wonderful midships cabin, usually reserved for owners on other boats, to themselves. So you get plenty of room around this large island berth, your own ensuite, your own walk-in wardrobe, and of course hull windows. I mean, it really is a lovely, lovely cabin. Let's talk about driving the Prestige 750, because one thing to note is that lower down the range, Prestige have been quite loyal to IPS. On this boat they've chosen to go for traditional old shafts, which is probably a pretty good move when you consider the competition and the sort of people who are going to be buying a boat of this size. And the setup works very well. This boat has a pair of MAN 1200 horsepower engines, effortlessly powerful up to about 28 knots, and there's a real cruising sweet spot at about 22, but of course she'll do 8 to 10 at displacement speed very nicely, and there's a seakeeper on board, so she's nice and stable as well. The other thing to mention about the way this boat handles is that because there is nothing down low in the bow except for a water tank and a few batteries for the bow thruster, it means that they can afford to have a very deep V, very fine entry, so that going along today in a pretty serious chop off of Cannes, the boat cut through the water absolutely beautifully. Really a very smooth ride, and also very dry. And it means that these long-legged cruises that you're going to be doing on a boat like this are very comfortable indeed. One of the hangovers from the smaller boats in the Prestige range is that there is an aft galley on this boat, and it's something that I'm a real fan of. Prestige use it a lot, and it works very well. It means that you can easily serve the decks, the cockpit. I like this little bar area here where you can line up drinks and food, and also you're in line with these fantastic windows, especially this side, so your view out while you're prepping in the kitchen is very good. And then that means that this middle section here between the helm and the galley is dedicated purely to chilling out, lounging, watching TV, and it's in a nice sort of square shape as well, so it's very sociable. And actually I can't really think of a way that this particular deck space could be improved. We're up on the vast flybridge now, and this section where I'm standing here, as you can see by the crane, is for your water toys. Prestige imagine that you'll have your jet ski up here, but there's also a high-low bathing platform for a tender, but of course you can do it either way you want. Moving forward, vast amounts of seating and also different shapes and sizes. There's small sunpad area here, lots of seating around here for people to dine. If I'm being really picky, which I'm going to be, these seats are not a particularly good shape, with very long bases and short seat backs. It's not particularly comfortable, but I suppose if you're dining you're not going to care too much about that. The other thing to notice is this enormous hardtop. I mean, look at the size of these structures here and the poles here. I mean, it looks like it could take a strike from a missile, and of course it opens as well. This is an option, but I think it's something that most owners will probably go for. Standard sort of stuff with the wet bar here, ice maker, fridge under here, and there's huge amounts of storage. As we mentioned downstairs, storage is great on this boat, and there's huge amounts up here as well. Life raft storage under here, storage under every single seat, and then even right here at the front there's this locker which is great for chucking your screen protectors in and charts and things like that. And then finally at the helm, everything's fixed, which is a bit annoying, but to be honest, this is a boat that is going to be skippered probably for a start, and most of the time it's going to be on autopilot, so I'm not going to complain too much, but it would be nice to have a bit of adjustment in the seat. But the view is very good, and everything else is pretty well sorted too. If you just come on through here and you get into the machinery space, the beating heart, and it's very, very good actually. As you can see, there's plenty of headroom where I'm standing here, and right between the engines as well. Service points are very easily accessed. You can get around to both sides of the engine, no problem. You can get over to the top. You can come in through the transom, but there is also an access hatch through the deck as well for quick checks. And then there's also real thought gone into the installation. You have all of the fuel filters are stacked up on the bulkhead on the way through. Very easy to see, very easy to check, and it feels like a very grown-up installation. Everything has been well thought out, and it's also very close to the crew cabin, which is handy. So let's go and have a look at that. This cabin is obviously made for crew, but if you're skippering the boat yourself, it's finished to exactly the same standard as the rest of the accommodation, with all the same sort of woods and finishing. There's good light from the glazing in the transom, little porthole up here. So if you had a couple of kids especially who you wanted to bring with you, then this is a perfectly good cabin for some children. They have their own bathroom here, a sink, and yeah, I mean, it's perfectly serviceable for a few nights for adults as well. So that's the Prestige 750, and really when you have people like Princess, Azimuth, Ferretti, Sunseeker making boats of this size, Prestige had to do something a bit different to tempt people away, and that's exactly what they've done. That master cabin on the main deck is going to be a boat show star. They've sold hull numbers 2 and 3 already, and personally I don't think they're going to be able to build enough of these.